What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends, and we are back to Free-to-Play Friday. We kind of skipped last week. I'm going to talk about that a little bit here at the beginning. Then we're going to actually jump in and talk a little bit about this new fusion that just came out today, which just started with the events and everything that you can start working on. But, you know, just being honest, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about anymore with the free-to-play account. I've been thinking about this the last couple weeks. You know, we're at level 93 now. We've almost finished Faction Wars. I've got 3 more to do. We've been starting to push hard Doom Tower up. I got almost to floor 75 last time. I think I got stuck on the double Morty McCab floor and just couldn't get through it. But we're starting to do a little bit better here. And I just honestly don't know what type of content to do around the free-to-play account anymore, because I think, you know, we're almost 2 years into it. September will be 2 years. I think we've shown at this point that you can pretty much accomplish anything in the game free to play. It just takes you a little bit longer. You know, you don't have to spend money. You can save your shards. You can save your resources. You know, we've been going through and getting through a lot of the Faction Wars, using a lot of level 50s on some of the 21s. Doing actually a lot better on Faction Wars on this account than I did on my main account, because on my main account usually I had to build 560s for almost every faction because I just didn't know what I was doing back then when I was clearing through it. But, you know, on this account we've been able to apply some of the lessons we learned and go through and work on it and actually get through Faction Wars a little bit easier. On this one, I'm just kind of in here in Arena doing our daily quest before we jump over to talk about the fusion. But yeah, I mean, we've done Gold 5 Arena. We're still building the Great Hall, obviously. That's taken a little bit longer because we don't have the same amount of resources on this account. And that's what kind of makes the free-to-play account a little bit more challenging, but also a little bit more fun, because when you do accomplish things, like getting screwed over by Mashallah here, you know, it's kind of a little bit more rewarding when you get to accomplish some of the things, doing it free-to-play or even low spend. And we're going to lose this one here. I thought we had it, but Ugo kind of got us with that revive. And there we go. Great job, guys. Great job. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump out here. And, you know, if you guys have any ideas at all for what you would like to see with this account going forward, feel free to leave it down below in the comments. And, you know, if there's anything you want to see here, I mean, we've got some pretty cool, we got a 15-second Spider 25 team. And that's really the only thing I could work on, is building up my Seer and trying to get some speed teams going on some of these dungeons. But that's all been done a million times before, so who knows? You can actually see we are doing pretty good on the shards. Now, we actually don't have any sacreds right now. The clan boss has been very stingy of late. I actually had gotten up to 8 sacreds. I was getting like 1 every day. It was absolutely insane. And I went ahead and pulled them during the pull 1 get 1 sacred event, because I had 8. I figured I was close to mercy. I was like, I might as well go for 2. And we did get 2. And one of them helped me clear orcs. I'm trying to see if I have them both out here. I don't see the... Okay, I think the other one's in my vault. But so we ended up getting Grohawk the Bloodied. And I went ahead and just built him out. I went ahead and 6-starred him because, you know what, I'm actually going to make use of him on this account, because he's a pretty cool champion that we can do a lot of things with. So he actually helped me finish Orc 21. That was one of the 4 we had left to do, so that one's off the table now. So we got Grohawk in that. It turned out to be pretty good. And then I think we also got another Molly here. So we got a duplicate Molly. We were able to put her into Dwarves to kind of help us out with that. So it kind of paid off. We got 2 legendaries on 8 sacreds. But since that event has been over, I have not seen any sacreds from Ultra Nightmare since then. Or Nightmare. So it kind of just goes to show you, it comes and goes. Clan boss giveth, clan boss taken away. The good news is we have been getting a lot of books lately, so that's kind of cool. But let's go ahead and get in here and talk about the fusion, Lonatharil. There's been a lot of videos on him the last couple days, a lot of players giving their opinions on whether or not you should fuse him. As usual, I'm going to say it's up to you guys. You have to look at the champion and judge based on your account what you are going to wind up doing. There was an interesting tidbit on one of Hell Hades' videos, actually, where they mentioned this guy had been in the game for a long time. They just hadn't actually released him yet, so that is kind of why some feel underwhelmed by his kit. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing to you. He does do a lot of stuff with shields. He's got some irremovable shields if somebody's dead. He's got this ally attack, which, I don't know. This is kind of, it seems like this is worse than Ferric on the Fats, so I don't really like it, because you have to build all the way crit rate on this. You don't get the crit rate buff too, so that's kind of annoying. He's got this passive with ignoring, ignores the shield buffs, inflicts more damage. And then he's got HP and Doom Tower, which is really nothing to write home about. We've got so many Doom Tower auras in the game at this point. So I will tell you this, on my main account, the attitude I took toward this is I don't need this guy. He's not going to help me anywhere. I've got better ally attack champions. I've got 2 Brognies on that account. I've got shields galore. I'm at endgame on that account, and this guy simply does not do anything for me. If you are an early game player, if you are a mid game player, this guy could be helpful. I think his ally attack's a little underwhelming, but if you don't have that at all on anybody, that could be very helpful for your account. The shields could be helpful for your account. The only problem on this guy is, from what I've seen so far, is the A1 does overwrite the shield on the A2, which is kind of redundant and kind of negates the whole purpose of his abilities. So, not a really well thought out or designed champion by Plarium, but if you can get the legendary, I always say try to get it. Just in this case, for some endgame players, if you were thinking of skipping a fusion, the only place I could really see myself using this guy might be in Hydra, because he's very sturdy. You can build him with a lot of HP, and he does have an ally attack, which is nice for Hydra, but I've got a million Hydra champs I'm already working on, and it seems like this fusion is kind of focusing on Hydra champs, which is odd, because Plarium seems to be doubling down on it, even though no one really wants to do it. I was thinking about that the other day, too. I was thinking about that number, they brought out, and they said less than 2% of the player population has completed a hard Doom Tower rotation. That makes me think that really no one is truly engaging with the end game in Raid Shadow Legends, and no one really wants to do Hydra. Once they get Mithrala, it's kind of like, that's it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. The RNG sucks. I still do it on my account. I'm up on Brutal now, trying to get up to Nightmare, and I enjoy the challenge of it, but at the same time, I can certainly understand why people might not like it. I just don't really have anything to do on my main account, so Hydra's about it. That's what I have to work for. That and speeding up my teams for all the various dungeons and Doom Tower and whatnot. But and a lot of people say, oh, you got to do it for the stone skin. I can count on one hand how many good pieces of gear I've actually had drop from Hydra since it released. So if you're not pushing top arena, don't worry about the stone skin gear. Everybody overreacted and thought reaction gear was going to ruin all of arena. It never happened. It's still just mainly that top 1% that has to worry about it. Stone skin is really the same thing. And quite honestly, the gold 5 teams that are using stone skin, like the Cardinal trick, it's like they're so obvious and you remember which ones they are that it's really not too hard to deal with once you figure out the teams that are using it. But we're getting off track. Let's get back onto the fusion. So I think this guy's a little underwhelming, quite honestly. But the main reason I'm going after him on my main account is I just seem to have the worst luck with pulling fusion champions during shard events. I have pulled duplicates of almost every single fusion that's been done, except the good ones like Rhodos, of course. But I've got most of my faction guardians are fusion champs. So fusions are pretty much autocomplete for me on my main account. I've got the resources I spend on energy. I'm always farming dungeons enough to get those events done quickly. I have enough shards on because I don't pull shards anymore. So I've got plenty of stuff to do all the events. So the only reason I'm actually going to be fusing this guy on my main account is because I know I'll probably pull a duplicate of him within a week or two, and then I'll have the High Elves Faction Guardian getting me closer to that plus 10 speed for Arbiter. And that's really the only reason. I will tell you guys right now, on the free-to-play, we're going to attempt it, but we're not going super hard at this because it's just not something I don't feel like we need him on this account. Let's talk about the epics, because one of the things we like to do is look at the epics, see if they're worth going after. We got this guy Anchorite, Sacred Order. We've got some healing on the attack all. A1 attack all is always pretty nice. Got a little bit of utility with the heal, which is good. You can put him in a stun set or a provoke set if you are going to run him for Hydra. It does have a little bit of cleansing and can increase ally buffs by a turn. And then we do have the crit rate buff and the crit damage buff for 2 turns. Pretty solid overall. But again, it's also kind of like, where are you going to use this guy? Seems like he's another, Hydra champ. He's got the A1, you could put the stun set or whatever on, but I don't see myself using this guy on Doom Tower waves to crowd control. But overall, not a bad kit. If you're an early game, mid game, this guy could really do some pretty good work for you. He's got a lot of utility with the heals. I think he's a pretty cool epic. Quite honestly, I'm not sure where I'd use him though on either of my accounts, so not sure we'll go after him. So now we have Wuji, who is a Shadowkin. Very cool design. The Shadowkin are probably the best design faction in the game. except that her weapon here is clipping through her cape, which is kind of funny. So we've got a weaken on the A1. Can attack all enemies if she does counterattack with that. So a bit of a conditional there. Attacks all enemies with block buffs for 2 turns. That's pretty solid. Places perfect veil and counterattack for 2 turns. So that's where you're going to get the counterattack for the A1. So the kit's okay. I don't know. This feels like almost something... a rare champ. I mean, if you think about Abyssal, he's got a block buffs on his A1, which is attack all, and he is a rare. And again, with me, like I have plenty of block buff champions. We actually just got Deliana, the legendary, for free, who is a pretty solid block buff champion. So I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not really overwhelmed by any of these champions so far. I just don't know where I'd use them at. You know, this is not a champion I'd be using in the arena. This is not a champion I would use really in the dungeon anywhere. You know, so I don't know. Looks cool though, for sure. All right, so now we have Carlinia, or Candlehead. She's got the candles on her head. That's... what are they thinking when they do things like this? Like, is she actually gonna light those so they drip down? I mean, it's just so funny. Oh man. What do we got here? We've got a 40% HP burn on an A1. That's actually kind of cool. That's a somewhat similar to Cythalia. That's kind of nice. Attacks all enemies A2. Decrease attack. Okay, AoE decrease attack is usually pretty solid. Can't be resisted if they're under HP burn. So if you pair her up with somebody like Drexthar or Assisia or Ignatius or any of those HP burners, that could actually work out pretty well. That might be a nice thing for where would we use AoE? Oh, decrease attack. Oh, probably on Hydra. So that's what I'm saying. Like all these champions seem like they are geared toward Hydra. Alright, so you can decrease duration of debuffs by 1 turn, which is cool. And a strengthen buff that cannot be removed. That's not bad. Anytime an enemy under HP gets a turn, it decreases... Okay. Yeah, so see, this is what I'm saying. This is definitely like a Hydra type thing, because what enemies are you HP burning that would buff them? So I think the Frost Spider and really Hydra, that's probably it off the top of my head. If I'm forgetting anybody, you can feel free to let me know. But this is the most impressive one so far to me. I think her kit is... I actually wouldn't mind getting her for Hydra on my main account. Plus she's got a resist aura, which is always pretty good. Speed's not bad at 98. Base HP is pretty high. So she would be a pretty solid utility champion for Hydra and maybe some other bosses in Doom Tower. So I actually kind of like her so far the best. I will probably actually try to get her on the free-to-play account since we are trying to do more Hydra. On this account, we need more. We only have one solid team right now, and I'd like to be able to build another team at least, so I have one to start pushing hard with and getting more Mithrala fragments, so we can get that done a little bit quicker. Alright, now we have Yellow Aguerna. She is an orc. She has a very cool design. I'm trying to think. She looks almost like she was supposed to be a barbarian and they just stuck an orc head on her, but she looks really cool. I still don't understand, why would you put anything that's on fire on your head? I mean, it's intimidating, but it's not very practical. She still looks really good. The art department, as usual, does a good job here. So we got a 2-hitter, single target, increase attack after if it kills an enemy. See, I hate stuff like this. Like, just give her the increase attack and then let her attack. Why does she have to kill somebody and then get an increase attack that she may or may not even get to use afterward, unless you're using her in PvE? That's really the only place I see that coming in handy. It attacks all enemies, decrease attack, again, AoE decrease attack. You know, where are we going to use that? Hydra really is the only place. Unless there's some dungeon waves or Doom Tower waves that are giving you a hard time. But if this hits hard, this actually might be pretty good. And we got attacks one enemy, block buffs, block active skills. Always critical. That's kind of cool, but it's single target. Block buffs, which is eh. Revives one random ally with 50% HP every time this champion kills an enemy. Yeah, again, where are you going to use that? Maybe Faction Wars? If she hits hard? I mean... Yeah, it's like Sachi on Shadowkin. I've actually built her on the free-to-play account, and she's completely useless because anytime anyone dies, she's not getting kills to revive them in time. It's a very unreliable revive. And you've already got Jorg in the orcs for revive, so... Faction Crips by 30%. Yeah, so I'm just wondering where you would use her, because single target block buffs is really not that useful. The attack all decreased attack would be good on Hydra. It's really about the only place. But then again, this is a single target A1, which isn't any good anywhere really, because you don't get the buff until after you kill somebody. So yeah, that kit doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And for an epic kit, that's very underwhelming, in my opinion. So I don't know. Very underwhelming fusion, I gotta be honest. And again, I'm coming at this with the perspective of a later game player. I'm in game on main account. My free-to-play account's pretty far in. But I do think, there are some things here. Like I said, if you're an early game, mid game account, you want to try to get the free legendary if you can. But if you can't get the legendary, I would say definitely go after Carlinia. Seems to be the best epic out of these four from what I'm looking at. And then this Anchorite guy looks pretty cool too. The other two are just, I don't know, they seem to be a lot more niche use. But I'll probably... like I said, my main account, I'm going to go for the whole thing. On the free-to-play, I'm definitely going to go after Carlinia and then probably try to get this dude too, because we could always use HP burn too. HP burn is very useful in a lot of areas. So, yeah, that's kind of my opinion on this fusion. I'm not really too sure what to think of it all. I think it's probably one of the worst ones we've had in a while. But at the same time, it's like I always know there's going to be somebody out there in the community that's going to find a use for this guy, and it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. There's always somebody that does something. It's pretty cool with these champions. But on the free-to-play, we'll probably be skipping. I'm not going to be pushing very hard. We've got to recover some resources on this account, so I'm not going to really be pushing too hard. I don't really have a lot of shards for summon rush and stuff like that, because the sacreds are usually what will power you through that, but we do not have any right now, which is unfortunate. We did spend the 8 on the legendary event, and we did get it to pay off, but Clan Boss has just not been dropping those shards at all. It's been very stingy lately. We don't have any keys to run. But here we can see Faction Wars. We've got 61 out of 63 on Shadowkin. And then we have the finish Undead. And Skinwalkers, we are just really struggling. I got to figure out who I'm actually going to build to help out with that, because if we look at our Skinwalkers, go down here, so we've got Cleo built pretty well to be our damage dealer. I've got Fane, but quite honestly, she's kind of built for Clan Boss, and she's a bit too squishy for Faction Wars. So we actually did bring Fleshmonger to 60. I've got to re-gear him and get him in some better gear, but he's a nice decreased defense option. We've got Satyr here at 60 for the turn meter control. And then we've got Hofreeze. I really don't want to take the Hippo over 50. I don't think I need to. So I think if I have to 6-star anybody else, it's probably going to be Steel Skull, because I can at least use him in other areas of the game. That's kind of what we're trying to go with on Faction Wars, is we don't want to bring up a champion that we're not going to be able to use in other places. The problem with Faction Wars I have is you wind up investing all these resources into champions that you never use ever again. So kind of want to avoid that. But that's kind of where we are on the free-to-play. That's kind of where we are looking at this fusion event. The events have already started. You can start working on Spider. We've been grinding a little bit today. And that's pretty much it. I think not too much else is going on. But like I said, guys, if you have any ideas for what you want to see with the free-to-play account going forward, just let me know down below, because I got to be honest with you, the game is in kind of a stagnant place right now. I can't really think of a whole lot of content to make. That's the one challenge I do have with Raid, is what I'm going to do for a video every week. On my main account's a little bit easier because I have a lot more champions, a lot more flexibility to do cool stuff like, all the Doom Tower epics or the Rare Dragon tournament, things like that. So kind of easier there, but on this account, we're kind of just trying to finish that grind for Faction Wars and working on Hard Doom Tower. That's pretty much it right now. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get you an answer as soon as I can. As always, hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.